I was a top-tier player, a man with countless credentials, but when my 6 wealthy sisters found me, they thought I was a poor, destitute creature in need of protection, They thought I must be in need after all these years of living alone. So my eldest sister, Victoria, pulled out a card and offered it to me. There was a supplementary card with no limits. Take what you want, take what you've never received. All eyes were on me, waiting for their surprise. But my gaze remained fixed on the black card, a symbol of endless wealth and affection. Thank you, Victoria. Just as Victoria Walker thought I was about to take it, I picked up my old but clean backpack. Well, it's fine, I have my card. The Walker family froze, and Victoria's smile vanished. She instinctively looked at my card. There was no bank name on it. Just a minimalist, mysterious design that seemed to be carved from pure light. This card she had only heard of once, at a secret meeting of the world's top capitalists. The owner of an ancient European financial group had mentioned it. It said that anyone who possesses this card can amass so much resources that they can overwhelm the economy of a small country in no time. Back then, she had dismissed it as just a story. But now her brother was casually pulling this legendary card from his old backpack. Victoria felt as if her whole world had been shaken. Her hands clutching the unlimited black card from her family's bank suddenly felt hot and embarrassed. Tiffany Walker, the other sister, looked at Victoria in surprise and peeked at the card in her hand, mocking. Ethan, what kind of card is this? It's just plain black. It looks so cheap. There's not even a bank name on it. Is it some anonymous debit card? Does it have any limits? Listen to your big sister. Take Victoria's card. It works anywhere in the world. You can buy anything. Victoria came to her senses and almost pounced on her foolish sister. Anonymous. Card limit. Victoria stared at Tiffany. I swear I feel like opening your head up to see if it's filled with anything besides motorcycles and video games, she thought. Victoria took a deep breath and cautiously asked, Ethan, this card of yours? Is it from Obsidian Bank? I looked at her a little surprised and nodded. Yes, the limit is fine. Enough. Fair enough. Victoria's face flushed. The veteran had said that the resource-mobilizing power of this card was beyond a description. She quietly withdrew her black card, which she once considered a symbol of power, and her face began to heat up. Compared to Ethan's card, her card seemed truly insignificant. Tiffany was still clueless. What bank is this? Obsidian Bank. I've never heard of it. Is it better than our family bank? Nicole, the third sister, also noticed Victoria's strange reaction and examined the card in my hand, though she didn't understand finance. But the high-tech design of the card made her feel comfortable that this was no ordinary thing. Mr. and Mrs. Walker knew nothing about Obsidian Bank. But seeing their eldest daughter's surprised face, they knew this card was definitely something big. Mrs. Walker asked hesitantly, Ethan, dear, where did you get this card? I had already put the card back in my wallet and, throwing it back in my backpack, casually said, Did someone give it to you? Who did? I looked at her without answering. I simply said, I'm a little tired. I'm going upstairs to rest. With that, I nodded and turned toward the stairs. My body was thin, but after I left, the living room was filled with silence. Tiffany was completely bewildered. Seriously, Victoria, what just happened? Our little brother rejected your black card. Victoria watched her brother until he disappeared down the stairs, then slowly exhaled. She rubbed her temples. Her voice was more serious than ever. It wasn't that he rejected it. She paused, looking at her shocked family. The thing is, maybe we underestimated him. She held up the black card she hadn't given him. It looked like a toy credit card compared to the one Ethan had shown her. Sis, are you serious? That plain black card is so powerful. Tiffany jumped up from her seat. Victoria didn't say anything, but the expression on her face was enough. The living room fell silent again. Tiffany collapsed on the couch and muttered to herself, Oh my God, who is my brother? Early the next morning, Tiffany came running into the dining room. Dad, Mom, Victoria, Nicole, guess how long I stayed up last night researching that Obsidian Bank? The family's attention immediately snapped to her. Mr. Walker put down the newspaper. What did you find? Absolutely nothing. Tiffany collapsed in her chair and gulped down a glass of milk. The internet is completely clean. No clue. I asked my friends in finance. No one even heard the name. Victoria, you're amazing. You recognized it. Victoria slowly ate her breakfast. She said nothing. She too hadn't slept well. The image of that card and my calm face flashed through her mind. Mr. Walker said worriedly, What has Ethan gone through all those years he's been away from us? Whatever he's been through, he's our son, Mr. Walker said firmly. From now on, no one will ask about the bank card. We don't want to pressure him. Tiffany's energy waned a bit, but then she regained her composure. It's okay. If he's not interested in the black card, he'll be interested in something else. I'll take him for a ride today. Yes, my new motorcycle arrived. All boys love bikes, Nicole said quietly. Tiffany, are you sure he'll be impressed by your bike? His card could probably buy a whole flat like that. Tiffany stared at her speechlessly. Just then I came down the stairs. Mrs. Walker greeted me with a warm smile. So, Ethan, you're awake. Have breakfast. Tiffany, forgetting the previous insult, came running over. Hey, Ethan, can I take you out today? I have a new motorcycle. I can take you for a ride. I sat down and picked up a piece of toast. Thanks, Tiffany. But wait, I need to get something from my room. Something. What is it? I can help. Just some old things. I'll get it myself. Tiffany followed me upstairs, pretending she was leading the way. But really she wanted to see if I was satisfied with the room they'd so painstakingly prepared. Opening the magnificent door again, Tiffany boasted. So how's Ethan? The room's great, isn't it? We had it decorated to the highest standards. My eyes roamed the luxurious furnishings, and I nodded. Then I went straight to an old suitcase in the corner. Tiffany looked a little disappointed, but continued to watch me curiously. I opened the suitcase and pulled out a simple, dusty metal case from the bottom. It was as big as a laptop, but a little thicker. Tiffany was surprised. Ethan, what's that? Your prized collection. I didn't answer. I just pressed a spot on the side of the case. A thin line of blue light suddenly appeared on the surface, quickly scanning my fingerprint and the iris. Then the lid silently opened. Tiffany peered inside, her eyes widening in shock. The contents of the case were beyond her imagination. It was divided into various compartments, covered in a deep black velvet where numerous items were neatly arranged. There was a watch with a highly intricate dial. There was a faint glow beneath its sapphire-like glass. She had only seen such a watch in a magazine about legendary collections, rumored to be made by a secret watchmaker. There was also a pen, a simple black fountain pen, but its lid was encrusted with a deep black diamond. Somehow, she felt that the pen possessed a cool, high-tech aura, more advanced than even the top-class equipment in her lab. This wasn't just any old stuff. It was a portable, high-tech treasure. Tiffany's mouth dropped open. She pointed to the watch, her voice faltering. Ethan, this watch. I casually picked it up and looked at it. Oh, some old man gave it to me. He said to wear it for fun. Tiffany felt her heart would stop. She pointed a trembling finger at the pen. And this is me, she said, picking up the pen and twirling it between my fingers. This is for writing. Sometimes I use it as a temporary decryption device. Tiffany's mind completely shut down. She looked at the antiques in the case, which could become the lifeblood of an auction. Then at the luxury items adorning the rooms she was so proud of. Suddenly, all those clothes and jewelry seemed utterly vulgar. This room didn't deserve her old things. I took a small blue crystal storage card from the case, closed it, and put it in the suitcase. When I turned around, I saw Tiffany still standing there, frozen in place, her face blank. What happened, Tiffany? Tiffany sobered up. Nothing then. Your case is truly unique. She wanted to cry, but there were no tears. She understood how Victoria must have felt when she'd taken back her black card yesterday. She thought her brother had come to experience luxury, but in reality he'd come to show them his wealth, in a way they couldn't even comprehend. I just nodded and then took the storage card and left. Tiffany followed me, completely shocked. The rest of the family in the dining room was astonished by her shock. What happened to Tiffany? Tiffany collapsed in her chair, her eyes lifeless. Mom, Dad, I think the preparations we've made for Ethan are too meager. The things in his old boxes are more precious than all our family's gifts. Victoria froze, her spoon in her hand. Nicole's chopsticks froze in midair. Mr. and Mrs. Walker exchanged confused glances. Tiffany clutched her head in pain. I think I'll take care of my new bike myself. Her world fell apart and then settled back together as she opened her brother's small metal case. It felt like we were all so small in comparison. Breakfast was over, and Tiffany was still in deep shock. As I quietly sipped my milk, Mrs. Walker watched me. Ethan, your father and I have discussed your studies. St. Jude's Prep is the best private school in town. We were thinking you could start there as a junior? What do you think? As soon as she said this, the whole family turned to look at me. Tiffany recovered from her shock. Don't worry, Ethan. St. Jude's has a good relationship with our family. I studied there. If anyone bothers you, I'll take care of it. If you have any problems with your studies, come to me, Victoria said. She thought it was a perfectly Normal offer, and she was prepared for me to be nervous or refuse. I put down my glass of milk and looked at Mrs. Walker. My tone was calm as always. Thanks for the offer, but it's not necessary. Mrs. Walker was surprised. Ethan, are you afraid you won't be able to keep up? Never mind. We'll just have the best Twitter. I nodded and pulled a thin, folder-like device from my bag. After tapping the screen a few times, I turned it toward the family. I've already completed my basic education. Here are some of my certifications. The Walker family leaned forward curiously. The screen displayed several digital certificates and transcripts, all in English. Nicole was the sharpest-eyed. She took a closer look and her breath caught. MIT OpenCourseWare Advanced Certification, Stanford Online Young Scholars Program, and is that the International Physics Olympiad Gold Medal? As she read the names, the room grew quieter. Victoria knew the weight of these achievements. They were beyond the reach of any ordinary student. Especially the Olympiad Gold Medal won as an independent competitor is so prestigious. The winners are often personally selected by major research labs. Tiffany didn't know the specifics, but she had certainly heard of MIT and Stanford. Her eyes widened. Wait a minute, Ethan. Didn't you live in a backward part of the country? Where did you get all this? Mr. and Mrs. Walker were completely stunned. They alternated between the achievements flashing on the screen and their son. Their minds were trying to make sense of it all. I put away the device and said flatly, I had some free time, so I learned a few things myself. The certificates just kept coming. The Walker family was stunned. Tiffany felt like someone had shot her in the knee. Dad had tried so hard to send me to college, and my brother's free time was completely outperforming me. Mrs. Walker's mouth dropped open. She was taking time to find her voice. Well, Ethan, what are your plans now? Would you like to apply directly to university? Your father and I can help you with this. I thought for a while and said no. If the school needs it, I can be a guest lecturer. I can share my experiences. A lecturer at St. Jude's. A picture flashed through Tiffany's mind. Her useless friend sitting in the auditorium, my brother teaching them astrophysics. Or maybe a lecture on advanced quantum mechanics. The thought of it was terrifying beyond words. She feared they might die there. So, Ethan, you don't need to go to high school anymore, do you? No. I've learned what I had to learn. Mr. Walker rubbed his temples. He had seen the business world for decades. He had seen everything, but nothing like his son. Because Ethan had finished his studies, he wouldn't be going to St. Jude's. As for the future, Ethan, you can do whatever you want. Family will support you. All their plans for him had collapsed before his abilities. News of the Walker family's long-lost son's return spread among the city's elite, and invitations poured in. Mrs. Walker chose a charity gala hosted by the Lynch family, deciding that this would be my official introduction to their social circle. Before we got out of the car, my parents began to advise me. Ethan, don't worry. Just stay with your mother? I nodded slowly. As my parents and I entered the banquet hall, the entire gathering's attention focused on us. Many people began to talk, their gazes filled with curiosity and scrutiny. I simply stood with my parents, offering brief, polite, yet distant replies. Some young men standing around Brandon Lynch, the Lynch family's son, looked at me. Brandon looked with disdain. He liked Tiffany and had a natural hatred for me. The kid they dragged from the village, he probably couldn't even read a French menu. He picked up a glass of wine and walked toward me. Mrs. Walker, this is Ethan. He's quite handsome, Brandon said with a smile. Then he turned to me. There was a hint of superiority in his eyes. Ethan, is this your first time at a party like this? Are you settling in here? If you don't understand anything, feel free to ask me. Mrs. Walker frowned slightly. She was about to speak when I looked at Brandon. I'm fine. Brandon was surprised by my calm, expectant gaze. He felt as if he'd punched a pillow. He wasn't ready to give up. He deliberately spoke to a waiter in exquisite French. A glass of champagne, please. Then he turned to me. Ethan, what would you like to drink? Shall I order for you in English, eh? People around them realized Brandon was deliberately trying to belittle me. Just then there was a commotion at the entrance. Some foreign guests dressed in suits and carrying a status completely different from that of a local business magnate entered. Mr. Lynch ran to receive them. One of the white-haired gentlemen scanned the room looking for someone. When he spotted me, his face lit up. He walked straight toward me, completely ignoring Mr. Lynch and Brandon. The gentleman came to me with a smile. Ethan, I never thought I'd find you here. The entire hall fell silent. This gentleman was a representative of an ancient European financial group. Such a prominent man that even Mr. Lynch had to take great care of him. And he had just spoken so intimately with the son of the Walker family. Mrs. Walker was also surprised. Brandon's smile froze and his wine glass nearly dropped from his hand. It had been a while since I'd seen Mr. Vincent. My French was so exquisite with a pure Parisian accent that it was far superior to Brandon's artificial one. Mr. Vincent laughed loudly and began speaking in his native tongue. He rapidly began discussing the latest developments in the global economy and the tech sector. He valued my opinion greatly. I replied casually, and Mr. Vincent nodded in agreement. We both talked as if no one else was around, leaving the crowd stunned. Was this the boy who came from the village and didn't know French? His language and knowledge were superior to almost everyone in the room. Brandon's face flushed, then turned pale. He stood there like a lifeless scenery, so embarrassed he wished he could sink into the ground. A moment ago, he was making fun of me for not reading the French menu, and now I was chatting carefreely with a European tavern Dorymouth. Tiffany appeared from nowhere and stood next to Mrs. Walker. Seeing me talking so well, she said excitedly, "Mom, look at my brother. Isn't he amazing?" Mrs. Walker was looking at her bright son. She was both proud and amazed. Mr. Vincent and I continued talking for a few more minutes, until his assistant reminded him of his schedule. Before leaving, he gave me his personal business card. I accepted it calmly. As Mr. Vincent left, the crowd's gaze grew more astonished. Brandon's face went white. He looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him. I turned my gaze to him. My expression remained calm, and I said in English, "Thank you, but I can order my own." Brandon felt as if someone had slapped him hard in the face. He felt a bitter sense of humiliation. Tiffany let out a stifled laugh, which caused some in the crowd to laugh as well, and Brandon, unable to bear it, ran away. I picked up my glass of juice and sipped it as if nothing had happened. Tiffany came over and gave me a thumbs up. "Ethan, you were amazing. From today on, I'm on your team." I looked at her, but said nothing. With my talent at this gala, I had made a laughingstock of everyone waiting to see me. The Walker family's young son had entered high society, and it was a memorable entry. Mrs. Walker hadn't even spoken to me before her 3 daughters surrounded me. Victoria's face went cold. Her sharp gaze darted around the room. What was all this going on? I hope this is the first and last time. Ethan is my brother, the true heir of the Walker family. Anyone who hurts him will hurt the entire Walker family. The whispers that had started in the room died down instantly. Victoria was considered a powerful figure in the business world, and no one dared to take her lightly. The other sister, Tiffany, didn't mince words. She rolled up her imaginary sleeves. "Did you all hear my brother Ethan? If anyone ever dares treat him this shabbily again, they'll be the first to face my punches pool." Saying this, she clenched her fists and glared at the young men standing with Brandon. Their faces turned pale, and they quickly lowered their gaze. Nicole, the third sister, adjusted her glasses. Her voice was cold. Data analysis shows that speaking ill of others and isolating others can have a profound psychological toll. The Walker Corporation's legal department is largely empty. They wouldn't mind practicing a few defamation cases. The 3 sisters, each with a different style, were united in their commitment to protecting their brother. They stood like 3 guardian goddesses, protecting me and establishing my status before everyone. Those who had been whispering that he was just a lucky child had stopped thinking that. Mrs. Walker was overjoyed and emotional at the sight. She tugged at Mr. Walker's sleeve. There was relief in her eyes, but most of all, pride. It's good that the girls know how to protect their brother, even if she was a little overprotective. Her expression was as if she were ready to wage war against the entire world. Mr. Lynch came quickly to handle the situation. "Victoria, Tiffany, Nicole, please calm down. These are just kids who don't know anything. I've already sent Brandon home to regret his actions." "Ethan, son, you must have felt really bad. Let me apologize on his behalf." Victoria's face softened a little, but her voice was still cold. "Mr. Lynch, you're being too serious. We just don't want this to happen again." "It won't. Don't worry. Ethan, your sister is here. What would you like to eat? I'll get it for you. There are some small cakes there." I checked. "They're not poisoned." "Thank you, Tiffany. I'm not hungry." Nicole calmly handed me a glass of warm water. "You've been talking for a long time. Drink some water." I took the water from her. "Thank you, Nicole. My three sisters were watching over me closely. When I wanted fruit, Tiffany ran over. You sit down. Ethan, I'll get it. Which one do you want? I'll get 'em all. When I had to talk to Mom, Victoria made way for me. Her eyes darted around as if an attacker might appear at any moment. I felt a little helpless, but seeing my sisters face such a formidable enemy and would worry about me was strange but good. Something hard inside me melted a little. For the rest of the gala, I was probably the most blank person in the room. Anyone who tried to talk to me would face the stares or comments of the Vickers sisters. I just had to sit quietly, accept the food and drinks they brought, and endure the envious or surprised looks of everyone else. This continued until the gala ended, and we drove home. It was so much fun. You saw their faces? Yes. Now let's see who dares to underestimate my brother. Victoria rubbed her temples. She didn't like her sister's noise, but she didn't stop. Nicole said to me seriously, Ethan, if anyone ever bothers you or anything offends you, let us know immediately. I looked out the car window at the neon lights passing by and gave a small smile. Mr. Walker, who was driving, saw his son surrounded by his three daughters in the rearview mirror and couldn't help but smile. Well, even though this pampering was a bit excessive, it wasn't bad. At least now no one would bother his son. Meanwhile, I, who was being held so carefully, was thinking to myself, next time there's a gala like this, I shouldn't find any excuse to leave. It's too noisy here. The next morning, Alfred, the Walker family's butler, stood outside my room with a professional smile. Behind him stood a maid holding a tray of delicious breakfast. She knocked gently on the door. Young master, are you awake? Your breakfast is brought. A small sound came from inside, and the door opened, but I hadn't opened it. It was a young woman in her 20s with delicate features. Alfred was startled. Who are you? The young woman simply nodded. Her voice was small and clear. Chloe, the young master's assistant? She had never heard of the young master having an assistant. She casually peeked into the room and saw me already dressed and sitting at a small table near the window. In front of me was a thin laptop, its screen rapidly processing data. Next to me was a half-filled glass of nutritional supplements. The expensive decorations the staff had put up the night before had been put away. The entire room was immaculately clean and orderly, as cool as a laboratory. Chloe stepped aside. There's no need for breakfast. The young master has already had breakfast. Alfred looked at the strange supplement drink, then at the fragrant oats and pastries on the MedCat tray. He hesitated, but this was specially prepared in the kitchen at Madame's request, so it's very nutritious. Chloe cut him off. Her face was expressionless. I'm responsible for the young master's meals, which are absolutely nutritious. These things are high in sugar and calories, which is not good for health standards. The maid holding the tray panicked. Alfred thought, this is the first time in my daily service that someone has questioned the standards of the Walker family chef. That's when I finished. He closed his laptop and went towards them. Alfred quickly put on a smile. Young master, about this breakfast? Listen to Chloe, I said briefly. Alfred's smile remained fixed on his face. Chloe was already taking care of everything. Besides, I'll also be responsible for the young master's laundry and keeping the room clean. Tell the rest of the staff not to enter the room without permission. Anything else? No, nothing, Alfred replied simply, and left. In the corridor, the maid whispered, Alfred, that assistant, Chloe, that's not our place to discuss family matters. He returned to the dining room and reported the morning's events to Mr. and Mrs. Walker, who were having breakfast. The situation is this, sir. Madam, it seems the young master doesn't need the services of the house staff. Ethan brought an assistant with him, and he also takes some nutritional supplement for breakfast. What kind of supplement? Would he be good at drinking? Has he seen so much bad times outside that he's gotten used to eating bland food? Absolutely not. I'll make him taste our chef's food, Tiffany said, getting up. Stay seated, Mr. Walker ordered. Didn't you hear, Alfred? His assistant is very professional. Don't go and cause any trouble. Tiffany shot back. How am I causing trouble? I'm just worried about him. Nicole calmly analyzed the situation. According to Alfred's description, Chloe's demeanor is very sophisticated, suggesting she's received professional training. Ethan's lifestyle may be different from ours. Imposing changes could lead to the wrong reaction. Whatever Ethan wants will happen, Mr. Walker instructed Alfred. From now, everything related to the young boss will be done according to his and his assistant's preferences. Yes, sir, Alfred replied with a bow. Tiffany mumbled, slumping into her chair. I just wanted him to eat something good. A little while later, when Victoria was leaving for work, she passed by the garden and saw Chloe writing something on her tablet. While I was standing in front of the precious orchid, gently touching its leaves, Chloe reported, "Sir, the soil moisture is above 0.7%. Sun exposure needs to be increased by 5 minutes a day. Also, some insects have been seen under the third leaf. They have been marked. I recommend applying 5 milliliters of Nanozo Bioagent 3. I nodded. Take care of it." Victoria stopped there. She felt as if her brother's world and hers were living in different dimensions. She quietly left. At lunchtime, Chloe and I didn't come to the dining room. Alfred came to give a report. Miss Chloe used the kitchen to prepare lunch for the young master. He has been sent upstairs. Mrs. Walker looked at the food spread on the table and was filled with joy. That child, he's very independent. Tiffany looked at the food on the table and suddenly lost her appetite. I want to see how healthy the food his assistant cooked tastes. For the first time, the entire Walker family realized that this boy probably needed them. Tiffany was lying on the couch playing games when her phone started buzzing like crazy. It was her friend's group chat. "Tiff, check Twitter. Your brother is trending. The real Walker guy is so handsome." Which media outlet took this? The angle is a little weird, but I swear he's so hot. Tiffany's heart raced. What was all this going on? She looked at the trending list and it was actually hashtagged Walker Instance. Opening it, she saw some unrelated photos from the charity gala. The comment section was already exploding. "Oh my God, is this the guy they found somewhere far away? Hey, he's so handsome. A feast for the eyes. Give me 3 minutes. I need all the details about this guy. Is it just me or does he seem a little arrogant? It's written all over his face that I hate everyone. Hey, look, someone's jealous. He has every right to be arrogant." Tiffany read the comments, especially the critical ones, and her anger flared. How dare they talk about my brother like that, Tone? I'll destroy them. But as soon as she put her fingers to the keyboard, the page froze and then forcibly refreshed. The trending topic had disappeared. The hashtag that had been making waves just moments before was now showing page not found. Tiffany stared in shock. She reloaded the app, but the topic had disappeared from the trending list as if it had never existed. When she searched for keywords, related tweets were disappearing in real time. Can Walker Corp's PR team work that fast? She muttered. She opened the family group chat and sent a message. Who ordered it removed? Pretty fast. Victoria replied immediately. What trending topic? Nicole added. Tiffany, I was in the lab right now. The PR department hadn't received any such instructions. When Victoria and Nicole arrived home that evening, Tiffany recounted the incident. Victoria immediately called the PR head, who was confused. He said he was about to report the matter, but before he could do anything, the topic had been cleared up, and the explanation was meticulous. It wasn't our people. If it wasn't family, who did it? Some kind soul didn't even look up from me, sitting quietly, reading a book. There was a lot of noise. I had it removed. My finger moved smoothly across my tablet screen. Silence fell over the living room. All 5 Walkers' eyes were fixed on me. How did he remove it? He had been reading a book for so long. Tiffany's mouth was wide open enough to hold an egg. Ethan, how did you do that? I lifted my eyelids and looked at him as if to say, was it difficult? I sent a message. Sent a message, I said simply. Who would you text to make a Twitter trend disappear without a trace in the blink of an eye? Victoria thought about the Obsidian bank card and her heart began to pound. Had he used the resources behind that card to remove a mere gossip trend? Bar or trend? Nicole's eyes sparkled with intense curiosity. She felt her journey of getting to know her younger brother had reached a new and interesting turning point. Mr. and Mrs. Walker exchanged glances. Their eyes were filled with equal amazement and confusion. Tiffany plopped down next to me on the couch, her eyes sparkling. Ethan, tell me the truth. Do you know the CEO of Twitter, or are you some secret top-level hacker? I closed my book, stood up, and walked away, avoiding his overly curious gaze. My tone remained flat. I just know some friends who do data cleanup. With that, I took my book and went upstairs. I left the Walker family stunned in the living room. What kind of friends are data cleanup experts who can clean up Twitter trends like garbage? It's over. I think my brother didn't come here for a family reunion. He came to show us the truth, Tiffany muttered. Victoria rubbed her aching temples and leaned back on the couch. Ouch. For the first time, she felt that running a billion-dollar company was easier than understanding her brother's behavior. There was a long silence before Mr. Walker instructed Alfred. From now on, we don't have to worry about online information about Ethan. He knows what to do. He finally understood. They wanted to protect their son, but their son was a nuclear-level protective shield. This attempt to pamper him was proving both scary and funny. Meanwhile, because of all this, I returned to my room and gave Chloe a simple order: handle any such useless information directly in the future. Yes, sir. It felt like I had just killed a fly. Late that night, Mr. Walker sat in his study, brow furrowed over the computer screen. On it was my investigation report for the past 18 years, which was almost completely blank. The investigation encountered unknown resistance, repeatedly triggering a high-level information firewall. It is advisable to cease further inquiry. The risk level is extremely high. Mr. Walker rubbed his forehead, feeling a wave of helplessness. It was absurd that even after mobilizing the Walker family's core resources, nothing could be found. The events of the past few days had made it clear that their long-lost son was no ordinary person. There was a soft knock on the study door. "Dad, are you still awake?" Victoria came in with a glass of warm milk. "Still looking for information about Ethan's past. Nothing was found. It seems as if everything was deliberately erased." Victoria placed the milk on the table. Her face was serious. "Dad, I agree. Ethan is much deeper than he appears." I later quietly asked a senior person in our circle. He hinted that it was a transcendent level pass and its holder possessed unimaginable power. Mr. Walker's heart skipped a beat. He had vaguely heard of this concept, which represents a hidden circle that actually controls the world from beneath ordinary society.
Right.
And his assistant, Chloe, her posture and actions suggest she's likely from a top-tier security firm or has an even more elite background. Father and daughter fell into silence, and the Walker family brought something back. Victoria didn't know what words to use. "Dad, I never imagined how he'd spend all these years away. Whoever he is, he's our son. If he doesn't want to talk, we won't ask. If he wants a family, we'll be his family. Tiffany, Nicole, and I feel the same way. It just feels like we have nothing to do with him. Then we'll stand behind him unconditionally when he needs us. If he wants to be a normal person, we'll treat him like one by dead one." The next morning at breakfast, everyone looked at me with a complex awe. I put down my spoons and looked at Mr. Walker. "I want to go out today." "Where? Should I send the driver with you?" "No, take your sister." Victoria immediately sat up straight. I shook my head. "No need. Chloe will drive. Be safe. Be back soon." Mr. Walker said, There was no real authority in what he said. After all, his son was probably more capable than the entire Walker security team. Only after Chloe and I left did the family finally relax. "Yeah, breakfast with Ethan is more stressful than a board meeting with Dad," Tiffany whispered. Mr. Walker glared at her but secretly agreed. He looked out the window in the direction his son had gone. He felt a mix of shock and pride in his heart. A few hours later, Chloe and I returned home. I carried a simple black gift box and went straight upstairs with Chloe. A few minutes after I returned, Nicole came in, pushing the door open. 2 heavy dark circles under her eyes. She tossed her bag on the couch. "Damn it, they're back. Those stubborn bastards. Nicole, what happened? Is there a problem at the company?" Nicole ran her hands through her hair in frustration. "Those hackers are back again. They're attacking our company's main servers. The idiots in the tech department can't stop them. The competitor was playing dirty tricks, and this wasn't the first time they'd used hackers. They'd stopped them before. But this time the attackers clearly hired experts. Did you call the police?" "Yes, but it's useless. By the time the experts get here, it'll be too late. If our data is leaked or destroyed this time, the company will be finished." Victoria frowned. "Do you need help from the corporate tech division?" Nicole grabbed her laptop. Her fingers were racing across the trackpad, but the screen was completely red, flashing a big warning and a countdown timer. "It's too late. Their attack is too powerful. It's all over. This time, it's really over." The atmosphere in the living room was incredibly tense. A cold voice echoed through the air. "Nicole, can I see?" Everyone turned to find me standing at the top of the stairs, watching them calmly. Nicole was startled. Then she gave a faint smile. "Ethan, it's nothing. I'll handle it." I moved forward, my eyes fixed on the red alert on the screen. "This virus looks familiar." The whole family was shocked, but I ignored their surprise. I extended my hand to Nicole. "Give me your laptop," she said, as if possessed. Nicole handed it over. She regretted it as soon as she gave it. What could Ethan know about this? It was just a joke. I took the laptop, sat on the couch, and placed it on my lap. I placed my fingers on the keyboard, but didn't move immediately. Instead, I turned to Nicole and asked, Is there a backup admin key? A SAT alpha no delta. Nicole unconsciously repeated a string of letters. XABDI, you're the backup key. I nodded and my fingers began to move. My movements weren't fast. My knuckles tapped the keyboard with a crisp, steady rhythm. The scary red warnings and strange codes on the screen vanished before my eyes as I entered my commands. Initially, Nicole watched with her heart in her throat. One wrong move could crash the entire system. But in a flash, her mouth dropped open. This was neither C++ nor Python. Its structure was so strange and unique. Where did this coding style come from? In less than 3 minutes, the system interface returned to normal. I quickly typed a few more lines, and a complex network topology appeared on the screen, a red dot frantically trying to escape. Trace it, command, and press enter. The red dot on the screen transformed into a gray patch and exploded. Behold, their main server went offline for a moment. I closed the laptop and handed it back to Nicole, who was standing there completely stunned. Nicole took the laptop with her shaking hands. The living room was deathly quiet. She frantically checked the system locks and called her tech head. The manager's voice on the phone was both happy and nervous. Miss Walker, the virus is gone. Yes, the data is completely intact, and we've tracked down the attacker. It seems they blew themselves up. Their entire node is down. Nicole hung up and stared at her brother, who was as calm as if she'd just given him a glass of water. Her mind raced. Ethan, she said, her tongue twitching. She couldn't finish the sentence. My tone was so ordinary. I was just bored. I'd read a few books on programming. Just a few books. She felt as if her decade of computer science education had been completely wasted. Tiffany jumped up and grabbed my arm. Ethan, you're my brother. No, you're my God. I love you. I shook my head slightly and quietly let go. There's no need for this. Mr. and Mrs. Walker and Victoria watched. I didn't know how to react. When did he learn all this? When I started going upstairs. Nicole looked at my back and muttered, I think the Walker family just gave birth to someone who will change the world. Victoria thought to herself, I think it's really possible. Meanwhile, the man who was about to change the world went into his room and gave Chloe a quiet command. Send me the code for the virus variant that just emerged. This is kind of interesting. Yes, sir. Nicole paced the living room, latching her laptop as if she'd received a blessing, muttering, makes no sense. This makes no sense. The structure of that decryption code completely challenges existing frameworks. Victoria. My brother, just 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes. Victoria was starting to feel dizzy from the pace. She answered in a tired voice. I saw Nicole turn to Tiffany. Her voice was filled with excitement. It was Scorpion. They're one of the top hacking groups in the world. Our company's best tech team worked day and night for 3 days and couldn't do anything. Ethan did it in 3 minutes and as a bonus, even blew up their home base. How could this be done just by reading a few books? Mr. Walker clutched his teacup. His hands were shaking slightly. He tried to maintain his fatherly dignity. Maybe Ethan has a special talent for this kind of thing. A special talent? This is a whole different league. This is absolutely crushing. Dad, you don't understand. Nicole yelled. Mrs. Walker looked up worriedly. Do you think Ethan is tired? He's just used his brain so much. Now Nicole understands how amazing our brother is. Didn't she? I told you not to challenge his profession with your hobby. Tiffany said proudly. You're right, Tiffany said. I was the one who was narrow-minded. Nicole admitted. She was looking at her brother, now with pure adoration for his master, now a tech gig. Yes, my brother is a treasure trove of hidden talents. Then I came downstairs feeling like I was going out. I'm going out for a bit. Oh, Ethan, you're going out? Do you want a ride or something? The latest, top-of-the-line computer? I can order dozens of servers. Nicole was unusually excited. I paused, surprised by her sudden enthusiasm. Then I shook my head. No need. I'm just going out to buy something. Oh, what to buy? What are you buying? I'll come with you. Nicole insisted. Let your sister go with you. Mrs. Walker immediately spoke. The whole family was ready to treat me like a king. I looked at Nicole's eager face. I paused for a second and repeated. I only learned a little about computers in the past. The whole family thought a little. You call that a little? Nicole's lips twitched and she tried to smile. Ethan, you're so humble. If that was a little, then we're all computer illiterates, I didn't understand their excitement, and I calmly explained that there were 3 glaring flaws in the organization's defense architecture. Exploiting them wasn't difficult. Clear flaws aren't difficult. Our tech department worked day and night, but couldn't find them. No, ma'am. Ethan, can you elaborate on my Kate? Port auto hand super buffer overflow with a doubly linked list to bypass stack protection. And then Nicole quickly pulled out her phone and started taking notes. Her eyes were shining as she listened. Absolutely brilliant. Well, it can be done like this. Why didn't I think of that? By the time she finished her notes and looked up, Chloe and I were out the door. Nicole grabbed her phone and excitedly told her family, "Did you hear that? These few things Ethan said are nothing short of a treasure. No, it's priceless. Is it really that amazing? Amazing, what's more, with this, our company could build the best firewall in the country." "No, in the world," Victoria said lightly, adjusting her cufflinks. "From now on, if there are any technical problems in the family, we can go straight to Ethan." "Not just technical," Nicole said. Now he had blind faith in his brother. "I think even if the company were about to go bankrupt, Ethan could easily save it." "Does that mean if my engine breaks down during the next race, I can ask Ethan?" Tiffany asked. The whole family looked at her as if she were an idiot. Tiffany shut her mouth in embarrassment. Mr. Walker took a deep breath. "In short, from now on, whatever Ethan says is final. If he says he knows a little, we'll assume he knows a billion things." All the Walker family members nodded in solemn agreement. They had finally fully accepted this new reality. Their little master was a walking, omnipotent cheat code. Mrs. Walker had been suffering from an illness in China. It was a chronic illness that she had managed with medication. That afternoon, while having tea with friends in the garden, her face suddenly went white. She clutched her chest and collapsed, gasping for breath. Madam quickly brought her medicine. "Hello, Doc Evans," hurried Walker's state. "Mrs. Walker has had a stroke." Hearing the news, Mr. Walker and his 3 daughters rushed home from their offices and schools. "Don't be afraid, darling. The doctor is on his way. Just keep your spirits up." "Mom, did you take that medicine?" "I did, but this time it's probably not working." Mrs. Walker nodded weakly. The family doctor, Doc Vance, arrived in a rush. "Mr. Walker, this stroke is very serious. The usual medications aren't working. We have to take her to the hospital immediately." "So what are we waiting for?" "Get the car ready," Victoria ordered sternly. I raced down to the nearest hospital and saw my mother writhing in pain on the couch. My daughters-in-law tensed slightly. I quickly pushed through the crowd. "Ethan, this is more serious than you think. Don't do anything stupid," Doc Evans warned. Tiffany tried to stop me, but I ignored her. I knelt down and pressed a pressure point on Mrs. Walker's wrist with my fingers. "Let them go," Dr. Evans yelled. Without looking back, I pulled a small metal case from somewhere and opened it containing hair-fine needles. My fingers picked up a needle and inserted it into a pressure point near Mrs. Walker's neck. "This is madness," Dr. Evans shouted angrily. "You can't do acupuncture like this." Just then, Mrs. Walker's heavy breathing clearly slowed. Though she was still weak, her pain had subsided considerably. Everyone was stunned. I removed the needle, took a small notepad and pen from the case, and wrote a list of herbs and their dosages. I tore out the page and handed it to the astonished Dr. Evans. "Bring these herbs according to this prescription. Boil 3 cups of water and reduce it to 1 cup. My tone left no room for argument. Dr. Evans unconsciously grabbed the paper. His eyes widened in disbelief. "Lost, tranquil heart decoction. How do you know this?" "I'm leaving now." Dr. Evans clutched the prescription like holy scripture and shouted. He ran away. "Hurry to the store in town." "No, I'll go by myself." An awkward silence fell over the living room again. Everyone stared at me. Mrs. Walker held my hand. Tears welled in her eyes. "Ethan, do you know how to do all this?" "I learned a little from an old traditional healer a long time ago." Tiffany's mouth dropped open. She felt a little learned. The meaning of the words had changed. Nicole was frantically typing notes. Her eyes were shining. The subject had learned a lost method of traditional medicine. Victoria looked at my calm face and, for the first time, realized with complete clarity that her brother's abilities and experience were far beyond her imagination. Mr. Walker saw his wife's improved complexion. There was still a little fear in his heart. Thank God Ethan was home. Mrs. Walker held my hand tightly. "Ethan, son, will I be all right?" "Yes, take your medicine on time. It's no big deal," I said casually as if I'd just brushed dust off his shoulder. Soon Doki Evans returned with the decoction and personally administered it to Mrs. Walker. Her face turned a healthy pink and she was even able to sit up on her own. A miracle, indeed, made. Dr. Evans asked anxiously. Young Master Walker, this recipe or acupuncture technique? Where did you learn? I had already stood up and packed my metal case. I simply replied, from an old man in the village. With that, I turned and went upstairs, leaving the Walker family and Doc Evans behind, their minds reeling. Tiffany looked at my departing body and said, "Out. Now if Ethan tells me he knows God, I'll believe him." Mr. Walker sighed and instructed Alfred. From now on, Ethan's opinion regarding Madam's health was paramount. Yes, sir, he finally understood. His son was a walking encyclopedia and a great physician. After drinking the medicine, Mrs. Walker fell into a deep sleep. Her face was pink and her breathing steady. Ducky Evans stood nearby. The recipe was handed to some. Held like a priceless treasure, he muttered. It's a combination, a brilliant combination, a daring but precise dosage, or a surely lost ancient formula. Oh, young Master Walker is a genius. Mr. Walker told his daughters to go to work while he sat beside his wife. His mind was still in turmoil. He kept recalling the image of his son's sharp needle and calm demeanor. When he went into the living room, he saw that his 3 daughters hadn't moved. They were all sitting on the sofa, their faces filled with mixed expressions. Dad, did you see? Ethan did just a quick thing and Mommy was fine. Nicole's eyes were shining. She had compared her mother's heart rate and blood pressure data before and after my arrival. The effect was incredibly profound. I checked the recipe in the database. Its name, Tranquil Heart Decongestant, is found only in a few scattered ancient texts. Victoria, who was the calmest, also had a look of surprise in her eyes. If we had taken her to the hospital and used the most modern equipment, Dr. Evans said, even if they used it, the results wouldn't be as good or fast as Ethan's. The 4 of them looked at each other and then fell silent. I have to go and ask him what it is. How many more secrets does he have that we don't know? Tiffany said, and ran up the stairs. My door was slightly ajar. I was sitting at my desk, probably processing some data on my computer. Chloe was standing quietly beside me. Tiffany knocked on the door and smiled her most charming smile. Ethan, are you busy? Yes, that recipe for Mommy and that acupressure, it was really amazing. Where did you learn it from? Mr. Walker, Victoria, and Nicole came in. Their faces were filled with curiosity. My eyes fell on them and I answered flatly. It's a rural remedy I learned from an old village healer. Tiffany's mouth twitched. What kind of village is it that produces such geniuses? Maybe I should go there and take a class sometime. I didn't answer. I hadn't meant to reveal the old healer's address. Victoria tried another method. Ethan, you and what have you learned? I've learned a little bit about everything except computers. Ethan, when you say a little, what level are you talking about? Like today? Thinking hard, I pointed to a gnarled tree in the garden outside. Perhaps a little more than the gardener who prunes it. He followed my finger and saw Mr. Michaels, a world-renowned botanist whom Mr. Walker had hired from abroad for a large sum, but he was pruning a valuable bonsai tree. Mr. Michaels was said to be a legend in his field. Knowing more than a legend is a little. Tiffany felt suffocated. Mr. Walker sighed and stopped asking. He finally understood. For his son, a little meant expert level, and rustic treatment meant a lost art. Ethan, thank you for saving Mom today. I nodded. My attitude was as casual as if I'd just given her a glass of water. The 4 of us left the room and closed the door softly. In the hallway, Tiffany tore her hair. Come on, sisters, did you hear? He knows more than Mr. Michaels. I could buy a sports car for the money Mr. Michaels charges to trim a tree. Nicole's eyes froze. I'm beginning to suspect that when Ethan says village, he probably means some advanced civilization hidden beneath the surface of the earth, she muttered. Victoria rubbed her temples. From now on, we won't be surprised by anything Ethan says or does. Mr. Walker nodded gravely. Yes, I'll soon have to get used to the fact that my son is the almighty master of rustic remedies. Downstairs, Dr. Evans was still worshipping the remedy. Seeing Mr. Walker, he ran over. Where is Mr. Walker, young master? I want to be his disciple. No, just a chance to see him in action and learn is enough. Dr. Evans, calm down. It was just a rustic remedy, Dr. Evans thought. Rustic remedy? What kind of rustic remedy could bring someone back from the dead? The Walker family once again realized deeply that there was a huge mental distance between them and me. The crowd roared at the base of Mulholland Drive. Tonight's Canyon Road race had attracted countless spectators. The entire Walker family was there. Tiffany was eager to showcase her skills as a competitor, especially in front of her recently returned brother, Ethan, so she could impress him as his older sister. We were sitting in the spectator area along the roadside. A large screen in front was showing the race live. Tiffany's custom pink sports car was clearly visible on the screen. She drove masterfully down the winding mountain road. The engine roared from the speakers, and the crowd applauded. Tiffany's driving is amazing. She will win, Nicole said, expressing confidence in her sister. But Mrs. Walker's face was clear with worry, and she clutched her dress tightly. This girl is just obsessed with these dangerous things. I'm so nervous. Mr. Walker's face remained calm, but his eyes were fixed on the screen. Victoria, she was comforting her mother from time to time. Her own eyes were also not moving away from the pink sports car on the screen. I was sitting in the corner holding a tablet. On the surface, it seemed I was casually watching something, but in reality I was monitoring the real-time data of the race. Chloe stood quietly beside me. As my personal assistant, she spoke very little, but she always anticipated my needs. Halfway through the race, the image on the screen suddenly shook violently. The pink sports car that was leading collided with an oncoming truck on a sharp turn. The screen suddenly filled with bright headlights, and the crowd erupted in screams. What was happening on the screen? Tiffany turned the steering wheel and the car slammed straight into the guardrail. With a metallic screech and a loud crash, the car tumbled down the hill. The camera immediately returned to the host's terrified face. Mrs. Walker's eyes went dark and she nearly fainted. Her mother, Victoria, quickly held her. Call an ambulance. Panic erupted, and the Walker family was terrified. Nicole immediately pulled out her laptop to track Tiffany's phone. But the signal in the valley was very weak. The screen only showed a hazy signal radius, making it impossible to pinpoint her exact location. What do we do now? We can't find her exact location. How will the rescue team find her? Mrs. Walker cried. Mr. Walker's face was stern, and he repeatedly tried to call the rescue helpline, but couldn't connect. Then I looked up. Latitude 4 degrees Fahrenheit north, longitude 38 degrees Fahrenheit west. Send these coordinates to the rescue team. Ethan, how do you know so accurately? I had gotten the last location from her phone just before the signal went out. I've calculated the position based on the terrain and the direction of the fall. I said in a calm voice, my fingers still moving rapidly on the tablet, I said. Victoria didn't have time to ask questions. She immediately informed the rescue team of the location. But a moment later, a worried voice came over the radio. The slope there is very steep. It will take us another 40 minutes to reach the spot. We don't have that much time. 40 minutes. Tiffany might not survive by then. Mr. Walker paced restlessly. Sir, please let me go. I've received professional training. I can do it. Chloe, who was usually very quiet, introduced herself, surprising everyone. I looked at her, my eyebrows slightly raised. This was the first time since I joined the Walker family that I had expressed my feelings so clearly. This was very dangerous. I knew Chloe was skilled. But the darkness of the night, the steep slope, and the risk were too great. The worry hidden in my voice surprised the Walker family. I was always so quiet and aloof. I had never shown my emotions so openly. Sir, Miss Stephanie is in critical condition. We can't wait any longer. Chloe insisted. Her eyes firm and clear. Sure. I thought for a moment and then nodded. Okay. I'll guide you in real time. Take care. I immediately sent her the best route on my phone. My fingers were getting slightly cold. Thank you, Chloe said, turning quickly. I'll be careful. Taking advantage of the darkness, she nimbly began descending the slope. I stood still, my eyes fixed in the direction she was headed. Ethan had never been so worried about anyone before. Victoria said, looking intently at my tense face. Every second seemed to pass like an eternity. The spectators were gone. Only the distraught Walker family remained. Mrs. Walker was praying incessantly. Mr. Walker was pacing around, and Nicole was staring at Chloe's GPS signal on her phone. After more than half an hour, Chloe's voice finally came over the radio. Miss Tiffany is conscious. I'm bringing her up. Another 10 minutes passed before two figures appeared at the bottom of the slope. Chloe was supporting Tiffany. Her footsteps were staggering, but she still held on tight. Tiffany's face had turned pale. Blood was flowing from her forehead, and her left arm was hanging awkwardly. It was clear she was badly injured. Tiffany, Mrs. Walker ran forward and embraced her daughter, shedding tears of joy. The rescue team arrived immediately and began examining Tiffany's injuries. Initial examination revealed a broken left arm, multiple internal injuries, and a slight bruise. They placed her on a stretcher and loaded her into the ambulance. I quickly reached Chloe and noticed a large dark spot of blood spreading on her pants. As she stumbled, I supported her. Chloe gave me a small smile. Sir, I'm fine. Don't worry. Before she could finish speaking, her vision darkened and she collapsed. I quickly caught her in my arms. I pulled up her pants and saw a long, deep wound on her thigh that was bleeding profusely. Take her to the ambulance, I yelled, holding Chloe. My voice held a desperation I'd never seen before. The doctor emerged from the hospital emergency room, his face grave. Doctor, how are they? Miss Tiffany's injuries aren't life-threatening, but Miss Chloe has lost a lot of blood. The hospital's short on blood type O negative. We need a non-relative donor. How can you say blood type blood? This is an emergency. Is there a non-relative donor with blood type A? Mrs. Walker, Victoria, and Nicole all said they had blood type A. The doctor said, I'll take blood samples from all of you. A few minutes later, the report was in the doctor's hands. He looked at the report. There was surprise in his voice. This is strange. You're all blood relatives of Chloe's. According to the rules, direct relatives can't give blood to each other because of the risk of rejection. Then I said, my blood type is Rh negative. You can take my blood for an emergency. My words were like a bolt of lightning sending shockwaves through the entire room. The emergency room fell silent. Ethan, what did you say? You're Rh negative. Our entire family is O positive. How could you be? Victoria's voice trailed off. But everyone understood what it meant. Mrs. Walker remembered something. Her face paled. There was a big mess at the hospital when you were born. Our rival company intervened and the babies were switched. We always thought it was a boy. We never thought twice. But I never imagined this. I calmly pulled out a file. Here are all the surveillance records and staff transfer lists from that year. Our enemies took me away without knowing the baby's ender to destroy the Walker family. Later, they even changed the DNA samples to destroy the evidence. That's why everything matched in the test report. The real Walker child is Chloe. They made her my assistant so she would live like a slave forever. This revelation deeply shocked everyone. Mrs. Walker looked at Chloe, unconscious on the hospital bed. Tears welled in her eyes. My daughter, you've endured so much over these years. After an emergency transfusion, Chloe was finally out of danger and slowly regained consciousness. When she learned her true identity, she looked at her family at her bedside. Her eyes filled with tears. Tiffany, her arm in a sling, leaned over Chloe's bedside and said in a choked voice, So we're a real family. Chloe smiled softly and nodded slightly. Tiffany, what's past is past. For the next few days, the Walker family took turns caring for Chloe and Tiffany. The rival company's plot had been completely exposed. Mr. Walker's anger was sky high. Anyone who dares to touch my family will pay the price. Close all their credit lines immediately. I want them bankrupt within a month. A few days later, they were both discharged from the hospital. The sun was shining on the way home. Tiffany looked at Chloe sitting next to her in the car and said, I'll never do street racing again. Having a sister is truly better than being the queen of Mulholland Drive. Everything at the Walker mansion had returned to its former warmth, just with a new sparkle. Chloe had officially become part of the family as a Walker daughter. I was still the same quiet Ethan. But when I looked at my family, there was a new sparkle in my eyes. Mrs. Walker had prepared a lavish feast to celebrate the safe return of her two daughters and the reunion of the family. At the dining table, Tiffany, as cheerful as ever, was asking Chloe countless questions. Victoria and Nicole were also showering their lost sister with love. A few months later, the gardenias in the Walker mansion were in full bloom. Their sweet fragrance lingered in the air. I sat on a stone bench, watching Chloe help Mrs. Walker harvest the flowers. Dressed simply, the gentle way her fingers touched the petals was like a serene painting. Ethan, have a cold drink. It's freshly squeezed watermelon juice. Victoria brought 2 glasses and gave me 1. I handed it. Her movements were gentle and her eyes held deep concern for me. Her attitude had changed since that night at Mulholland Drive when I'd given her the exact location and provided Chloe with an emergency blood transfusion at the hospital. It wasn't the pampering of an older sister for a younger brother, but rather a mixture of respect and an indescribable tenderness. I took the glass and thanked her. I'd just taken a sip when Tiffany came running in, brand new game controller in hand. Ethan, play a few rounds with me. Her left hand had completely healed and her personality was as bubbly as ever. But the moment she saw me, the old arrogance of an older sister was gone. In its place was a teenage hesitation. Nicole was sitting on a nearby bench. She had an optimized mountain rescue route plan open on her laptop, which she'd just completed. Seeing me, she said softly, Ethan, look at this. For trajectory data you calculated last time was very useful. I've added a few more things based on that. Perhaps it could help more people in the future." Her voice was soft and her gaze clearly reflected admiration. Only then did I understand what the three Walker sisters felt for me. These feelings stemmed from that life-threatening rescue on Mulholland Drive. From the support they gave each other in that difficult situation. It had nothing to do with blood ties or status. It was just pure affection. But my heart was already filled with Chloe. From her selfless rescue to that struggle in the hospital, her courage and tenderness had deeply penetrated my soul. Chloe probably noticed this commotion and came closer, smiling. She held a freshly cut mango in her hand. "Ethan, taste it. It's just been cut." She placed the mango near my lips. The tenderness in her eyes was as clear as a waterfall, with an understanding that existed only between us two. Victoria looked at us and said, "Chloe, you are now the Walker family's treasure. If anyone dares to tease you, the three of us will never forgive them." The golden rays of the sun filled the garden. She had bathed us, and our shadows were stretching across the grass. Time passed silently, and months passed in the blink of an eye. The feelings she had once tried to suppress were slowly surfacing, palpable. Victoria remained gentle, but her concern for me had deepened, and whenever Chloe and I visited the Walker house, she would always have my favorite watermelon juice ready on the table and a financial magazine of my interest in the study. Sometimes when Mr. Walker and I discussed work, she would sit nearby and listen quietly, offering me a glass of water at the right time or pointing out a crucial detail. When I was deep in thought, her involvement was subtle and helpful. Once I casually mentioned that I liked hand-carved woodwork. Shortly after, a unique wood carving appeared on my bookshelf. Victoria said nonchalantly, "I found this while shopping and thought it was unique, so I took it. If you like it, keep it here." I saw the hope that sparked in her eyes for that moment, and I understood. But I could only smile. I thanked her and gave the decoration to Chloe. Chloe loved it. She held it in her hands. When Victoria saw this, the sparkle in her eyes faded for a moment. Then her gentle smile returned. Tiffany's manner was more straightforward, yet still reserved. She no longer invited me over just to play video games. Instead, she found every excuse to meet me alone. One day, it was a new sports arena where she wanted me to try out the amazing equipment. The next day, she had to take driving lessons, and she asked me to be her instructor. Whenever we met, she came prepared and became more talkative than ever. She would enthusiastically share funny stories from her life, or sneak a look at me while I was driving. Her eyes were filled with affection she couldn't hide. Once, during driving practice, we passed a sweet shop. She insisted on going inside and getting ice cream, specifically choosing my favorite chocolate flavor. Her fingers were slightly warm. When she handed it to me, "The ice cream here is amazing. You must taste it." I took the ice cream, saw the blush on her cheeks, and could only pretend not to notice. I smiled and began talking about driving techniques. Nicole remained silent and composed, deliberately ignoring the expression in her eyes. Her emotions were hidden by her dedication to her work and her attention to detail. Since her time in mountain rescue route optimization, she would often seek me out to discuss work. She would send me the latest route data and highlight areas where she needed my help with calculations. Sometimes she would even come to the coffee shop near my office, and we would sit together and discuss our laptops. Her gaze was focused, clear, and sharp when discussing professional matters. But sometimes when she would be silent and her gaze would rest on me, there was an invisible tenderness in them. One evening we were chatting for a long time, and a light rain began. She took an umbrella from her bag and handed it to me. It wasn't heavy, but you shouldn't get wet. I noticed the umbrella's handle had a matte finish. It was my favorite one she'd clearly made especially for me. I took the umbrella, mumbled a soft thank you, and turned to see Chloe waiting nearby with her own umbrella. I quickly walked over to her, closed Nicole's umbrella, took the one in Chloe's hand, and naturally placed my hand on her shoulder. Nicole stood there, watching us walk away. She slowly closed her laptop. The smile on her lips faded slightly. Her feelings were pure, without malice or jealousy. There were simply different ways to express the affection that had never ended. This subtle gesture gave me enough space to avoid feeling trapped or uncomfortable. But my heart's response never changed. Chloe's image haunted my every thought. Their every act of kindness only deepened my love for Chloe. Chloe, being incredibly perceptive, naturally noticed the three sisters' changing behavior. but she never showed any nervousness or suspicion. She remained gentle and calm. Whenever Victoria made me something I liked, Chloe accepted it with a smile and genuinely appreciated Victoria's sensitivity. When Tiffany took me to the sports arena or to driving practice, Chloe would remind me to stay safe and listen enthusiastically to our conversations upon returning. When Nicole and I discussed work, she would sit quietly nearby reading a book or making us tea. Once, when Chloe and I were alone, she asked softly, "Ethan, have you noticed that the sisters are acting a little differently toward you these days?" I took her hand and looked straight into her eyes. "But you're the only one in my heart. You've always been the only one." A gentle smile lit up Chloe's eyes, and she rested her head on my shoulder. "I know. I trust you." The next day, I made plans with Chloe and drove her to the county clerk's office. Chloe sat in the passenger seat anxiously watching the passing glances. She asked softly, "Ethan, what are we doing here?" I took her hand. I felt the coolness of her palm. My gaze was serious and firm. "I want to change our names." Chloe froze. Her long eyelashes fluttered like butterfly wings as she blinked. "Change our names?" I nodded. My voice was soft but firm. "You're the daughter of the Walker family, so you should be their name. I want you to be Chloe Walker, part of this family, and I want to give up my surname. I'll just be Ethan, just your Ethan, so I can protect you and keep you safe for the rest of my life." Without any other distractions, Chloe's eyes immediately moistened. Tears welled up, but she smiled. She nodded firmly. Her voice was filled with emotion. "I'll listen to you, Ethan. From now on, I am Chloe Walker, and I will be your Chloe Walker only." The name change went smoothly. The moment she received her new ID card, Chloe held it carefully. Her fingers repeatedly traced the name Chloe Walker. A happy smile lit up her eyes. Sunlight streamed in through the office window, illuminating her face and making the mole near her eye even more prominent. I took her in my arms and placed a gentle kiss on her forehead. "I'm yours forever." When news of the name change reached the Walker house, Mrs. Walker couldn't help but smile. She took Chloe's hand and caressed it. "Chloe Walker, what a lovely name. Perfect for our baby girl." Mr. Walker nodded. His eyes looking at me held my approval. "Yes, Ethan, you've made a very thoughtful decision. From now on, you'll have to take great care of Chloe." "Don't worry, Dad, I will." The three sisters' reactions, however, were mixed. Victoria looked at us, a gentle smile still on her face, but a glint of disappointment flashed through her eyes. She picked up her glass of water, took a sip, and said softly, "Chloe, Ethan, congratulations. The name change is a good thing. I'll just have to get used to calling you Chloe Walker now." She gave me a look as she spoke, unable to hide the sadness hidden in her eyes. "It means something beautiful," Nicole said softly. "I wish you both the best." But the hand resting in her lap clenched silently into a fist. I knew she hadn't completely given up. I had to draw a clear line to honor Chloe's trust and let the three sisters live their own lives. That weekend, the Walker family hosted a dinner party. The garden was decorated with lights and red lanterns hung from the gardenia branches, spreading warm throughout the courtyard. Mr. Walker raised his glass and smiled. "I've invited everyone here today. First, to celebrate Chloe and Ethan's name change, and second, so the family can spend quality time together." Everyone raised their glasses. The sound of clinking crystals echoed throughout the garden amidst laughter and pleasant conversation. In the middle of dinner, I set my glass down. I took a deep breath and stood up. "Granny sisters, I have something important to announce." All eyes turned to me. Chloe, who was sitting next to me, looked up. Her eyes were a mixture of confusion and hope. I took her hand. Her fingers were slightly cold, but she squeezed them tightly, giving me courage. My eyes darted around everyone present, finally settling on the three sisters. "Thank you for all the love and care you've given me. From our awkward first meeting to every moment spent together, I've seen and treasured your kindness, genuineness, and tenderness. Victoria, you always quietly prepared my favorite things and tactfully reminded me of important details when Dad and I talked about work. Your wisdom and grace made me feel the warmth of family." I looked at Victoria. Her eyes were slightly red and the glass of wine in her hand trembled. "You've introduced me to so many new things. From the sports arena to driving practice, you've brought so much joy to my life. Your energy and sincerity are like a little sun, warming everyone around you." Tiffany lowered her gaze. Her long eyelashes hid the expression in her eyes, and her shoulders trembled slightly. "Nicole, you always used work as an excuse to discuss professional matters. I deeply respect your focus and your gentle nature. Nicole smoothed her hair to hide the tears in her eyes. I'm so grateful for all of you. My voice was soft but firm. In my heart, you will always be Chloe's beloved sisters, and you will always be my sisters. I will always cherish this family bond, and I will take great care of Chloe. I didn't hesitate any longer after saying this. I took a velvet box from my pocket. Kneeling down, I opened it. Inside was a simple, brilliant diamond ring. Its stone shone with a faint but steady glow. I had this ring custom-made for me. Our initials are tattooed inside, symbolizing our unbreakable bond. I looked at Chloe. My eyes were filled with love. Chloe, after so many years together, I thought my feelings for you were just a habit of long companionship. But when you were hurt, I finally understood my heart. I know I have no artificial words to say, but I just have a heart that wants to spend the rest of its life with you. Will you marry me? Chloe was completely stunned. Tears welled up in her eyes. She nodded vigorously. Her voice choked with emotion. I'm ready. I stood up, gently put the ring on her finger, and hugged her tightly. Her body trembled as she held my waist as if to unite herself with me. Mrs. Walker's eyes were already red. She took Mr. Walker's hand and repeated, "It's beautiful. Really beautiful." "Yes," Mr. Walker said with a relieved smile, wiping his eyes silently with his sleeve. "The children's ordeal is finally over. From now on, our family is truly complete." Victoria came forward and gently placed her hand on my shoulder. Her face reflected genuine relief. "I wish you both happiness." "Thank you, Victoria. I will take great care of Chloe." Tiffany also came. Her eyes were a little red, but her smile was genuine. "Ethan, you better be good with my sister." She lovingly pinched Chloe's cheek. The two sisters looked at each other and smiled. All the distance between them melted away. "Don't worry, Tiffany." Nicole adjusted her glasses and said softly, "Chloe, Ethan, I wish you a happy life. From now on, we are all family." Her tone was soft, but now there was peace and truth in it. Chloe and I looked at each other. Our eyes were filled with gratitude and joy. I knew that all three sisters had truly let go of everything, and their blessing was priceless. In the coming days, we began planning our wedding. Chloe said she had always dreamed of a long wedding surrounded by the fragrance of flowers and the sunshine with the blessings of friends and family. Okay, I immediately agreed. "Whatever you want, I'll do my best to make it a reality." The wedding was scheduled for the following spring at a private estate in the countryside. The lawn was laid out like a green velvet carpet surrounded by flowers of all kinds. Cherry blossoms, roses, and tulips were a burst of color and fragrance. We also planted gardenias along the garden, a nod to the Walker family garden and a symbol of our pure and long-lasting love. All three sisters offered to help with the wedding preparations. Victoria, with her attention to detail, took charge of the wedding schedule and the reception, taking care of every detail. She personally selected the party favors, customized them to the guest preferences, and repeatedly adjusted the seating chart to ensure everyone felt comfortable. She also spoke with the best florists to ensure the flowers were fresh and fragrant on the wedding day. Tiffany, who was energetic and bubbly, was responsible for booking the band and creating the atmosphere to make the wedding a celebration. She chose a band that played romantic music and created several interactive games for all guests to participate and enjoy. She even designed the wedding signage herself, decorating it with cute fonts and illustrations, creating a very personal and warm feel. With her expertise in data analytics and coordination, she managed the budget and staffing to ensure everything was organized. She also had a backup plan in place for any emergency. She created a detailed spreadsheet documenting every expense and assigning tasks to staff so the wedding would go smoothly. Watching them work around the clock, Chloe leaned on my shoulder and whispered, "Ethan, I'm so glad my sisters are here." I held her tight. Yes, they're all so nice. We'll have to be nice to them in the future. The weather on the wedding day was about as perfect. It was sunny and there was a gentle breeze. The estate was beautifully decorated and the atmosphere was filled with joy. Guests began to arrive. Their faces were filled with blessings and smiles. Mr. and Mrs. Walker, dressed in formal attire, were warmly welcoming the guests. The joy in their eyes was unconcealed. Chloe, in a sheer white gown with a veil around her neck, walked slowly toward me with her father, carrying a bouquet of gardenias and white roses. The trail of her gown was long, like snow falling on the lawn. She wore light makeup, her eyes soft, a shy smile on her lips, and her eyes were fixed only on me. Pink petals were strewn across the lawn, and a band played romantic music. The sunlight fell on her, making her look like an angel. My heart pounded, and I stared at her. Everything from our first meeting on Mulholland Drive to this moment flashed before my eyes. Sona, her courage, her tenderness, her confidence, all resided in my heart. I stood there in a black suit, holding a bouquet of sunflowers, her favorite flowers, symbolizing light and warmth. Mr. Walker placed Chloe's hand in mine. Ethan, Chloe is our family's lost treasure. I'm entrusting her to you. You must care for her and love for the rest of your life. I held Chloe's hand tightly. My voice was full of strength. I will until the day I die. I will spend my life protecting, nurturing, and loving her, and I will never leave her side. Mr. Walker nodded with satisfaction and returned to his seat beside Mrs. Walker. They both shared a smile. They were deeply satisfied. The wedding ceremony began. The priest stood before us and asked softly, Ethan, do you take Chloe Walker as your wife? I promise to be with her for the rest of our lives through good times, and bad through riches, and poverty through sickness and health. I do. My voice was clear and firm. My eyes were fixed on Chloe, filled with deep love for her. I knew these 2 words were not just a promise, but a lifelong vow. Chloe Walker, do you take Ethan to be your husband? I promise to love and cherish him in riches and poverty, in sickness and in health. Chloe looked at me. Tears welled in her eyes, but she smiled with pure joy. I believe those simple words held the power to last a lifetime. A tear fell from her eye like a pearl on her white gown. We exchanged rings. I gently placed the ring on Chloe's finger, and she did the same for me. The moment our fingers touched, a warm, steady stream flowed between us. That tiny ring bound our lives forever. I now pronounce you husband and wife. May you both live a long and happy life together. As the priest said this, applause and cheers echoed all around. Colorful balloons floated into the sky, filling the air with joy. I leaned in and gently kissed Chloe's lips. They were soft and warm, with a faint scent of gardenias. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. Everything around us blurred. All I could hear were our heartbeats and breathing. On our 2nd year of marriage, Chloe came to me, holding a pregnancy test. Her fingers trembled and tears welled in her eyes. Look, Ethan, we're going to be parents. I took the test, and for a moment, my mind went blank, and then an indescribable joy washed over me. I hugged her tightly. Really, Chloe, we're going to be parents. She leaned against my chest, nodding and smiling, though tears were welling up in her eyes. The doctor said it was 5 weeks. This news brought a wave of joy to our lives. Mrs. Walker arrived that very day with a bag of nutritional supplements. As she came in, she took Chloe's hand. Her eyes scanned from Chloe's face to her belly, as if she'd found a priceless treasure. My sweet girl, this is wonderful news. From now on, you'll have to take great care of yourself. Don't get tired. Whatever you want to eat or drink, Mom will make it for you. Mr. Walker came in from behind. He held a wooden box containing specially brought wild ginseng. His tone was calm, but he couldn't hide his smile. Chloe, take care of yourself. If you need anything, just tell your father. Victoria took her annual leave the next day and joined duty at home. She brought her pregnancy books and began cooking nutritious meals for Chloe every day. From today, I'm your full-time logistics head. She had also drawn up a diet chart in beautiful handwriting. Look, you'll have to avoid spicy foods during the first trimester. I've made you a yam and millet porridge. It'll help with morning sickness. It smells so good. Yes, drink slowly. Be careful not to burn your baby. Chloe held the bowl of porridge. Her heart was filled with warmth. Victoria, you didn't need to take leave for me. Victoria waved. Her smile was gentle. Silly girl. Right now, you and the baby are the most important things. Tiffany had become an entertainment director. She arrived early over the weekend with a bunch of CDs and picture books. Chloe, I got you lots of soothing prenatal music. And this book, Baby's Wonderful World. The pictures are so cute. Let's read stories to the baby together. She sat on the couch and began reading the book with great gestures. She even made animal sounds, which made Chloe burst out laughing. Yes, Tiffany, your mimicry is so good. The baby must be able to feel your joy. Tiffany lifted her chin proudly. Of course you forgot. I was in the drama club in college, yet the baby's early education is completely up to me. Nicole handed me a thick folder. The prenatal checkup schedule, fetal movement monitoring, and prenatal yoga classes are all marked. I've also included a comparison of nannies' resumes and postpartum care centers enters. See if there are any changes I need. I opened the folder. The charts inside were extremely organized. You work so meticulously. You've even calculated the rate at which formula milk dissolves and the breathability of different diapers. A faint smile crossed Nicole's lips. All of this is important. The baby's safety is paramount. These are things we have to think about in advance. Chloe's early pregnancy symptoms weren't too severe, but she often felt tired and sleepy. I cut most of the unnecessary tasks from my work schedule so I could get home on time and be with her. Every night I would gently lay my head on her belly, trying to listen to the movements inside and imagine that little life growing. Chloe would smile and stroke my hair. Her eyes were filled with dreams. Ethan, do you think the baby will be like you or me? I took her hand and pressed it into mine. I hope the baby is like you, gentle and kind, and if his eyes are like yours, he will be very beautiful. She smiled, the corners of her eyes turning up. Her face looked so soft in the moonlight. Well, I hope the baby grows up brave and responsible like you so she can fend for herself in the future. As the weeks passed, Chloe's belly grew bigger and her movements became more difficult. Back pain made it hard for her to sleep at night. So I would stay up with her, massage her back, and help her get comfortable. Listen, Ethan, you don't have to stay up with me. You have to go to work tomorrow. I nodded and continued to gently massage her back. It's fine. How can I sleep when you're uncomfortable? Anyway, being here with you and the baby makes me happy. Sometimes she'd crave some wontons from an old all-night shop, and I'd put on my coat and run to get them. Coming back with hot soup and watching her eat it with contentment was even sweeter than eating it myself. Is it good? If it's not enough, I can get more. Chloe nodded. There was so much confidence in her eyes. It's delicious. The food you bring always tastes the best. I knew the road ahead was long and might even be stormy. But as long as I had this family, this love, I had the courage to face any challenge. This happiness woven with love would be like the gardenias blooming in our courtyard year after year, brightening every day for the rest of our lives.